our first day, Roz. So we're super pumped. It's been the first time that we've had a house to ourselves. We were just saying since September 2018. So super pumped.
Hey man, that's so cool. And this is the reason why I wanted to capture your story for everyone, because I'm back home in Perth seeing family. You guys obviously have moved over to Bali, and we're living in the same neighborhood. And the thing that I loved about what you and Dom are doing, man, is number one, you did the van life thing for a good 6 months, and you were location free, and just traveling and doing that thing that we all dream of doing at least once in our lifetime. And then you've just been on an all expenses paid trip to Fiji, and you just come back from Peru and Machu Picchu, and now you've decided to follow the next part of your dream, which is to be based in Bali. And the thing that really captured me about you guys is one, your hearts, and two, your desire to impact people, and three, what that's resulted in terms of like the abundance and creating a side business that pays you over $1,000 a week. And obviously it fluctuates based on how many people you're impacting and so on and so forth. But I think I just wanted to capture that for people. So you cool to work through that story with me and share some key learnings and some things that might help other people who are looking to do the same.
Yeah, we'd love to, Roz. And yeah, thanks for having us on, mate. And that's really kind of you to see us in that light. I mean, we're just super excited to be in Bali. It's something that obviously we'll delve into in the call, but yeah, pleasure to be on, mate.
That's epic. Benny's saying he's pretty pumped for the call as well. So let's kick into it, man. So what I'd love to start, and ladies first, or however you want to do it, but tell us a little bit about your background and I guess how you sort of fell into this partnership with this nutritional company that does, intermittent fasting and whole food based supplements and that type of thing. And obviously the company's Isagenix. We're really transparent about that. But how did you guys? What's your background, and how did you get to the point where you are now? Who'd like to go first?
Beautiful. I'll go first. Thanks, Roz. So for me, I came into ISA as a personal trainer. So back then I was 24 years old. I was working 3 jobs and looking after my mum, and whilst I was pursuing something that I was super passionate about, which was helping people through personal training, what I found was that I was short on time. There still seemed to be not enough money at the end of the week, and I just thought to myself, like, whilst I was helping everybody, is this still really it for me? And when Isagenix came into my life, I was completely open to improvement. So even though I was a health professional and I was helping lots of people, I was really good with my own nutrition, I was still open. And that's something I'm super grateful for, because it was because I was open that I put the products in my body. I had an incredible shift take place, and I was very blessed that my journey was very organic. I didn't know it was network marketing. I didn't know Isagenix was how I know it today. And so I just fell in love with my product experience and just started sharing from the heart. And it was through that that the company paid me in my 6th week more money than my other 3 jobs combined for the week. And at 24 years old, what the heck is this? And then I reached out to a girlfriend and got sent a podcast, learnt that this was more than what I thought it was, and got myself to my first event. And that's when everything sort of started to unfold from there. So that's sort of my introduction to the company.
There's so much more in her story, like so much more in it, but just, I mean, that covers a nice little element of it. And it's just, it's always so great to hear. Dommy loves what we do so much, and I think that's a key element to her success over the last 5 years. She just absolutely pours her heart and soul into this. She loves it. So my story is, I was a banker, Roz. Okay, so I was. I
did not know that.
Yeah. So I was going through college. I was playing footy footy was my life. I slept with my footy of a night time to wake up, to handball against the wall. You know, that was just everything for me. I wanted to play professional AFL footy. Like, that's all I ever wanted to do. I got struck down by injury. The footy career soon derailed, and then that didn't happen. But I needed to obviously get my life together and start my life after college. So I got a traineeship at the bank, and I am super focused when I get into something, and it was not my passion. My passion was connecting and interacting with people. So it filled that, but the actual working in a bank wasn't my passion, but it was all I knew. Right. So what I did is I just got to work in there, and I worked hard. I worked my way up from my traineeship and worked my way up the ranks to a certain point. I got stuck at that certain point, and I had a mortgage, and that income wasn't enough to service my mortgage as a young man, and financial stress started to come in, and my self-worth lowered, all this stuff. And I got into a real slump where I was like, is this all that life's going to turn out to be for the next 30 years? And Rawls, it was tough, you know, like, it was really hard for me. I got it heavily into drinking, recreational drug taking, on the weekends, like anything to escape the reality, because I had no light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, man.
So what I did is period as well, I was studying at university laws. So I was doing 20 hours at university, 50 hours a week, and still had no money at the end of the week, right? So Isagenix came into my life at a time when I really needed it. I needed it for my well-being. I needed it for direction. I needed it for purpose. I needed it for so many reasons. I needed it for community, to get around a new environment of people. All of these things were so important, and it covered everything. And I don't know if I mentioned to you once when we were chatting before, Ross, but all I wanted was $200 a week. That's all I ever wanted. And now I think in a limitless mindset. I had a capped mindset, and now I think in a limitless mindset. And, we'll probably get into a little bit more of that later on. But, yeah, so that's my story. Resigned from the bank in 2016, went on a road trip with my dog, went from Tassie to far north Queensland, spent a couple of years there, and we've been doing the van life. And it's been the best adventure with Dommy for, the last almost 3 years now.
So how did you two meet? Did you guys meet sort of along this journey, or was it something separate?
We met one night. Yeah, we met. We met one night in Melbourne. It was one of our mutual friends is a super guy. We absolutely love him, and we're actually going to an Isagenix event, and Dommy and I, being the personalities that sort of go with the flow, we both didn't have accommodation. So our mate Alex, he set us up in his accommodation for the night, and we went out to, it was actually the Crown Casino. We went out to the Crown Casino, and we're sitting down there, and we just absolutely hit it off as friends, and it was we knew, but it took a few months for us to get our act together, and it was just, a happy ever after scenario so far.
And do you think that's kind of cool? Like, that was the one thing I remember. I've had periods, obviously, where I've been single and been in relationships. And one thing that all of my friends have always said when I brought them to like an event, or like just introduced them to our tribe and our crew, we've been out for dinner. They're like, one, they're so positive. Two, they're all freaking healthy. And three, they're so giving. And like, they're just willing to like go out of their way to do things for you. And it's like the fact that, people look at this as like an opportunity to, lifestyle and to create a side business and to add a tool to your belt as a personal trainer, or maybe a way to just get healthy yourself. But when you surround yourself with like-minded people, you create the opportunity to create attraction and also for you two to meet, right? And I know there's been a lot more stories like this, but I really wanted to highlight that because, connection is medicine as much as food is medicine. So it's kind of cute. I like it. What are your thoughts on that, Dom?
Yeah, I knew, like, when you come into a journey like this one with Isagenix, a fair chunk of it is personal development. So throughout my journey, I learned self-worth, I learned self-respect, I learned what I wanted as an individual in my life, and I set a new standard for myself. And through my ISA journey, I was single for a year and a half, just working on myself, working on my self-love, building my team, doing things that were serving me. And I just got crystal clear on what I wanted in a relationship, and that person manifested in the form of Brendan. So I love our story. I love that so many of our values, pretty much all of our values, are aligned. It makes relationship, business, life, everything just so much fun every day.
It's a great point you make, Tommy, because we built ourselves into the people that we are to attract each other into our lives based on the personal growth journey that was accessible to us through this company. There's not a doubt in the world about that. So we built into our ideal self, and always, shedding layers and reinventing ourselves and redeveloping. But we built ourselves into the space where we had such a great connection because we were both individually on purpose at the time when we met each other.
I feel that, and let's go into that side of it now. So, how many people have you been able to collectively impact, individually as a group at the moment?
Do you mean personally introduced, or our team as a whole?
Your team as a whole, so obviously it's a networked enterprise, it's a collective impact. How many, from you getting started and being the inspiration that you are, I know that you did a 16-week challenge, and you talk about being the best version of yourself and attracting these amazing people and inspiring them to become the best versions of themselves. What type of ripple effect does that create? What's the collective impact?
Gosh, last time I checked, I think it was just over 3,500 people. That's
amazing, hey?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Interesting. Can I just add to that once? Dominic and I obviously have been working together for the last 3 years, but it was I think it was the first 4 or 5 months, Roz, I worked my backside off in the pockets of my life while I was at the bank and built up a mighty team of 29 people. So it's just one of those things that it's like a snowball, it just sort of snowballs and snowballs and snowballs, and the impact through seeds that we plant, great conversations that we have with people, it develops into something that we couldn't have dreamed of having a direct and indirect impact on over 3,500 people in the last few years. It's crazy. And we're only just getting started.
Absolutely, man. So what do you feel like for anyone listening, even you can relate this to any business, any enterprise, like I've shared before, but these principles are applicable to startups, they're applicable to networked and shared economies, they're applicable to the cafe that you run, right? But how did you, if you were to share any insights that you have now 5 years down the track for people that are just trying to help their first 2 people or help influence their first 10 people, what would you kind of share with them? What's the easiest way to do that?
Yeah, cool. Let me go first. Yeah, great. So the number one thing, I listened to a man called Jim Rohn, okay? And Jim Rohn's a legend of our profession. He developed himself from scratch into an incredibly successful man. And I consider him to be a mentor because I just listen to his stuff every single night. But something really stands out to me with Jim Rohn was that he said, the best investment you can ever make is into yourself. Okay. And so that to me was the key. And so whether it's introducing 2 people or 200 people, it's developing yourself, or myself in this scenario, developing myself into a person of value. And when I develop myself into a person of value, I'm going to be able to impact positively more people because I'm more valuable to them. And that can be down to basics like listening skills, or something, more profound like, high-level leadership, for example. But there's so many different areas of where we can work on ourselves to develop into the person that can make an impact. And if you've impacted one person, then you've made an impact. But it's always good to just continue to take steps forward to continue to grow, because progression equals happiness. It's not the results. It's not the 3,500 people. It's not the 200 people. Numbers are almost irrelevant to the whole journey. It's the progression that excites me the most. So yeah, that would be my takeout. Invest in yourself more than you invest in your job if you want to go and pursue, a lifestyle that's on your terms.
Yeah, and exactly. And I guess the key thing, like you said, is if you want to impact anyone, you probably got to impact yourself, right? And for most of us, like with these Monday web events, are more about how can we have an impact and help more people, rather than how do we integrate the rituals like intermittent fasting and cleansing and whole food smoothie bowls and whole food eating and active lifestyles and positive tribes and the growth and development. That we're kind of assuming that's a given, right? And if anyone is listening, you can just follow Brendan or Domi or my own or anyone who's on this, their lifestyles, and you'll see that the rituals integrate into their life, right? So first step, like you said, is helping yourself and investing in yourself. And obviously when you started, Brendan, you had a little tribe of people around who were supporting you. So even though you're doing it for yourself, you're not doing it by yourself. And then from there, it's like you've invested in, your own influence, your own leadership, and then you figured out how you can then transcend yourself and start to influence and help the people around you. And I know for me, like early days, I wanted to impact my friends and family. And the first thing I said was like, man, who wants to do a detox with me? And 3 buddies were like, yep, let's do it, And then 7 other guys were like, I don't do detoxes and blah, blah, blah. And sure enough, 3 years down the track, they've got digestive issues and now they're a bit more open to it and they've seen the results and so on and so forth, right? So Domi, just handballing over to you. How did you impact your first 10 people? How did you go about it? Because I know the women tend to do it in a probably, I don't know if it's an easier way, but maybe there's just a lot more personable approach to it. So I'd love to hear your approach.
Yeah, I love this, and it ties in with what Brendan shared in regards to being someone of value. So I'd given so much. So before ISA came into my life, I had already been doing that. So naturally, I was already a giver. I was already looking at ways to help improve other people's lives, whether that was just, inviting them on a walk or just offering to help them with training or giving them advice around nutrition. Like I was the person who people knew that they could go to get that helping hand without me asking for a take. So when with my sharing isogenics with my first 10 people, it was very easy for me because I was just like, okay, I'm doing this thing. It's called Isogenics. It's a 30-day nutrition program. Everything's sorted for you. Who wants to do it with me? And like, no joke, but like actually happened. A couple of mates were like, yeah, here, what do you need? I'm like, just give me your credit card or I'll hook you up. Like, all good. We'll all start together. So, the first few people were like that. And then, the other people I helped was because they knew, liked, and trusted me. And then the people to continue on with that, I had the results in myself, and I was truly speaking from the heart because of the mental shift I experienced with the products.
Yeah. And you won a 16-week challenge, is that right? Like I know you haven't gone into the depth of that, but you actually, you're not only committed to this for helping others, but you committed for yourself. And that was a big step in obviously the journey to becoming the person that you were and the person you wanted to be to attract people like Brendan and other amazing opportunities in your life. So share a little bit about that 16-week experience for you, Dom, and if you'd recommend it for others.
Yeah, absolutely. So that challenge changed my life. So how I entered into that challenge was because I had burnt out. I'd literally burnt out. I was helping so many people with personal training, and I was helping so many people with ISA that nobody had taught me to fill my cup up first, and there was nothing left. And I went to our global event celebration, and that's when I learned about this challenge. And I was like, okay, if I'm to really create impact, if I'm to really step into this vision that I have for myself and my life, then I need to get myself sorted. And I did that through committing to the challenge. And so what that looked like for me was scheduling myself in before everybody else. And that was hard. Like, I was someone who put myself last, but I did that, and making sure my nutrition was on point, making sure my gratitudes and self-love morning rituals were non-negotiable. And I also implemented something that I learned from David Wood, which was 30 days of no bitching, moaning and complaining. And that changed the game for me. I stuck to that. I stuck to that. And it's funny because when your frequency shifts, stuff starts to happen. And anyways, I finished that challenge. I got my happiness back. My mental health was just the best it's ever been. It's still in this state today. And when I finished that challenge, stepped straight into the next one. And I have 55 people say yes to doing it with me. And that was incredible. My cup was full. I was able to serve all these people. And that's when I got the call that I was a finalist, which was pretty cool.
Yeah. And what did you get for being a finalist, Dom?
I got $3,000 US dollars, which I bought myself a ticket to Vegas to go to the event over there, which was incredible. Plus the other aspect of everything, like I got treated like royalty from corporate. I had experiences that I never could have created on my own. It was a really special time in my life.
That's so powerful, Dommy. And this really feeds on from Eric, who spoke last week, who really cast the vision for Start Your Life and the millennials. And he was chatting, and he shared some really, really amazing things about how, the company is focused on lives impacted versus income generated. And, that is, for me, it's a sign of a truly conscious enterprise. And we've got a vision to impact 1 million lives, right? And I think we're up to 900,000 at the moment. And what you shared there is there's a massive key in that for anyone listening. And people don't realize why it's a 16-week challenge and that, but it's like, a habit or behavior kind of like you can shift a conscious level behavior or habit within like 20 to 30 days. We've all done that, like no sugar, or we quit drinking, or blah, blah, blah. But for it to become really sticky, it kind of has to last. Like we have to keep that habit and that ritual going for like 100 to 120 days. And then it's like it almost becomes a new lifestyle, right? It becomes a new lifestyle habit. And it's like saying no to alcohol, saying no to sugar, or saying no to these things and yes to that becomes like a normal way of living, right? And then from that space, you then attracted 55 people who wanted to then do it with you. And so many people I hear, they're like, well, how do I get this business? How do I help people? And you've kind of you've hit the nail on the head. It's like, commit to yourself. And people like don't do that. They want to go and serve the world. And there's so many people who haven't even figured out how to fill their own cup and get the rituals into their own life before they're trying to, save everyone around them and convince them to do these health programs and things like that, but they're not showing up for themselves. So I just wanted to really honor you for sharing that, because I think if people really get that, a word of mouth based business based around health and well-being will become so much easier, and we'll be able to impact those 1 million lives together if we have that type of mindset. So I just want to really thank you for that.
Thanks.
So now let's finish off, because we've got about 5 or 10 minutes, and I want to get into the juicy bit, right? So you guys, over the last 5 years, have had this amazing health, transformation. And, Brennan, you're a banker. Dommy, you're a personal trainer. You've both added this tool to your belt, connected in with this tribe. You do this on the side of other things, but you're mainly doing this full time at the moment. It's permitted you to do all these things and meet each other and so on and so forth. But just for people who are listening, from a business standpoint, like how much does it cost you to run this as a business per year? Like what are your expenses? You spending $300 a month on food? Is that pretty much it?
Yep. The bare basics, I call it our rent, which is buying our food for the month, is a minimum of $200. We spend way more because we value our health. We spend over $1,000 a month on Isogenics between the two of us, because, it's a predominant amount of our nutrition.
Yeah.
So, but the minimum is $200 a month. Basically, that's it. You need a laptop, you need a phone, and that's it. But on the other hand, Dommy and I have invested tens of thousands of dollars now into ourselves through a conscious choice that we've made to really live life to our full potential. But the beauty of it is that we have that spare money to invest into ourselves based on the fact that we don't have electricity bills, we don't have employees that we have to pay, et cetera, all the overheads that come with traditional business. So we reinvest money into our business by investing into ourselves so that we can serve in a more effective and productive way. So, yeah.
So that's kind of interesting, because anyone listening, like who runs a traditional business, like you're looking at, as a couple, you invest, maybe $10,000, in your food, you eat your overheads. Some people, if you're single, I know for me, I probably only invest maybe $3,000 or $4,000. I eat my overheads. And then from there, the only other thing I invest in is my own self-development, my own growth. And then it's just a matter of influencing, helping other people. And it's kind of amazing to think that that's your only startup cost. And as an example, what's it been like for you in the last 6 months? Like, I know from a monetary sense, you were sharing openly that you've been able to generate about $1,000 a week on the side. Obviously, people can go to Isogenics and have a look at the disclosure statements and stuff to realize that you obviously have to work to get to this space. So it's not a get rich quick thing. But what else has happened? You've been able to generate that income as you travel. You've done the van life thing. You've moved to Bali, and you've also got some trips that have been all expenses paid. So just tell us a little bit about that and what that kind of means to you.
Yeah, for sure. Well, our life has been extraordinary in the last, since September 2018. Dominic's just going to look after the little pups there. So, our life's been extraordinary, Roz. We've travelled full time basically since September 2018. So 6 months of that was with the van life, which was an incredible experience. We covered places in the east coast of Australia that we would never have visited otherwise. It was absolutely extraordinary. And we had the most amazing time of our life in this beautiful van. Then we've been to New Zealand, we've been to Fiji, we've been to Chile, we've been to Peru, we've been to Bali, and now we're back to Bali. All of that's happened in the last 9 months. And our income, it varies week by week, but it's well and truly a professional wage. And some weeks it's extraordinary. And that's based on the amount of work that we do. But we have now set ourselves up so that we can be anywhere in the world impacting people. Travel's a high value of ours, and experiencing different cultures was. I just can't put into words what it was like to spend 3.5 weeks in Cusco in Peru, and the Sacred Valley, and meeting the Peruvian people, and all of these sort of magical experiences that we've had off the back of Fiji, sitting and having a hungy on the beach with the local Fijians, drinking the kava, and like in New Zealand then, and with our friends, and climbing Mount Taranaki, in New Zealand. I mean, the list goes on. We saw there's an art piece that we went to with the coloured houses in Chile. I could talk to you for hours and hours on end, watching the whales waking up at 6 a.m. This is what we've been able to create, whilst each being able to pay ourselves a professional wage every single week.
That's cool, man. And Domi, you might want to share as well on the back end of this, because it's I think this is so important. Is so many of us, we're not looking to be millionaires and multi-billionaires and trying to change the world by ourselves. We just want to cover our costs. We want to be able to, live in, I guess, without the debt and without that sort of scarcity, and have enough to give back and to share and to travel and be location free, and be able to serve and be able to give and be able to contribute. And also, we all realize that time is our most valuable resource, and we have this opportunity to really optimize this human experience. And we're looking for companies like Isogenics and networked and shared economies. And there's so many beautiful ones out there. As we know, in Bali, we meet a lot of digital nomads, right, who are doing the same. We're looking for ways to earn $200 a week, $500 a week, $1,000 a week. But I'd love to hear from you, Dom, about just some of the notable impacts that you've been able to create, because this is amazing for you. But who can you think of off the top of your head that, they've been able to experience this in their own way? Who sort of jumps to your mind when you think of, beyond you, what type of ripple effect you've created for other people to live this lifestyle?
Oh gosh, in our team?
Oh, yeah, there's there's so many examples of impact. I mean, I've got a few that come to mind. If you want me to share a couple, and then you share.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite impact of all is the impact that I get to experience through the women that I help with our products, and also our community, and also the income aspect. But it's, for me, the thing that shifted in me when I joined this company was, like I shared, my self-worth, my confidence, you know, the personal development aspect of this whole journey. And when I bring women along with me on this ride, and I get to watch them step into their confidence, I get to watch them change how they speak about themselves, I get to watch them then go and impact the women in their networks and reach up and help their parent, and then they have a little bit of extra income coming in, and it just the shift that I see in self-worth and value. So they have the confidence and courage to go do things that they wouldn't have done before, is my favorite kind of impact within this company. That's just me personally. Of course, there's the income and lifestyle and all these sorts of things, but it's these little micro wins that just keep me sharing and keep me going with this company, for sure.
Yeah. Have you had one? Have you had one recently Have you had one recently you can think of, just someone from the top of your mind? Like we had a lady in our group who just shared that, you know, she lost 5 or 6 kilos, and, you know, she had this amazing story about how she obviously ended up, you know, being 20 kilos overweight. And it wasn't about the weight, but it was about how she felt about herself. And just to see it pivot back in the other direction, like she's in tears, and she's like, you know, the simplicity in the tribe. And of course it's so much more than nutrition. It's the support. It's everything else. But that's something notable for me, and I'm sure you have one. What's something that pops to your mind in terms of a woman like that?
Oh gosh, I just got a message before I jumped on here. I was checking in with one of my new girls, and she jumped on board with her husband, and she's released 3.4 kilos. She's feeling amazing. Energy shifted, and she's now got the confidence to go back and exercise, and the week after she's planning on stepping back into resistance training. So that's something very recent. Oh gosh, I've been on coaching calls all week with my girls, and it's the self-belief. Like one of my girls has built confidence because she built up the courage to, she made an impossible situation possible and came to celebration. She caught the vision of what this truly was. Ever since then, she's been doing what she can to invest into herself. And she just shared with me this week that she's made the decision to come spend a couple months here in Bali to work with us in person, because she really wants this for her life. And she wants to inspire and impact. And then I watched her Instagram stories, and it's like, I love Mondays, and it's just like, it's just the best. So there's 2 examples.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, Domi. And I know, Brendan, you probably got something to share as well, but I just wanted to grab one last thought on you on the whole financial wellness side, because I know that this is really big for you, is that, yes, you know, physiological health, you know, the food is medicine, the tribe, all that type of stuff. But you shared, what's your thoughts on that whole financial wellness piece?
Oh, it's critical. I really believe that financial wellness is going to be the most important chat that people are having towards the end of this year and into next year and then beyond. It's just so important for families, for individuals to have financial security. So my background, you know, working in financial planning for many years and seeing people with their retirement income that have worked a noble 40-year profession, you know, and come to the end of it, and they're just, you know, scraping by. Some of them at retirement, some people's retirement's halved, you know, around that 2008, 2009 sort of era with the GFC. You know, there's just so much fear. And I just think that getting to the end of the working career is something that should be so enjoyable, you know, after putting in so many years of service. And for many people, it's not. And very few people become fully self-funded retirees at the end of their career. Now, what we have effectively got here is financial stability. So if you impact enough people and people decide that they want to use these products for the rest of their lives as customers, that's a residual income that continues to get paid, like an investment income or like a retirement pension income that continues to come through. And whatever that figure is, it doesn't matter what that figure is, because it's an addition. And it is so important, because financial stability changes the whole landscape of well-being. And we have the solution right here, because there are so many people, Roars, that just aren't in the bodies that they wish to be in, or don't have the clarity that they want in their lives in regards to their mind being foggy, and that all comes back to nutrition. Everything comes back to nutrition effectively. If you link in high quality nutrition with financial wellness, you're looking at a pretty good quality of life. And that's why I think financial wellness is an equally important conversation that we're going to be having in the next few years as physical and physical wellness with nutrition.
That's it, man. And I just wanted to really capture that, because your conversation that we had the other week really hit that in the head. And I just imagine if everyone integrated, like, you know, some form of intermittent fasting, high vibration plants, these, you know, smoothie bowls, and had access to tribes like this and people like Dom and yourself who, you know, if they really wanted to, they could come and work in Bali alongside you, and they can capture the vision and dream and come to events and really like choose their own path forwards, even amongst all the complexity and amongst these social and cultural like rules or bullshit rules that are created to say that, you know, you can't do van life, you can't go live in Bali, you can't be a banker and also partner with a health conscious enterprise, you can't do these things, right? And I really want to capture your hearts and what you're about. And Dom, you've shared about, you know, the influence you've had on women and their self-confidence. We're not even talking about income here. We're talking about this investment in self, and then the thing that naturally happens when people feel good in their body and they want to share things. And if you've got the right, you know, conscious enterprises that have shared economies and networked economies like Isagenix, you know, they put over 50% of what comes in back out to their people in the forms of, you know, trips to Fiji and Peru, like you've been on, or either, you know, rewarding their customers for sharing their products. And the thing that's cool, really, really cool about this, and a lot of people won't know this, but during the GFC in 2008, this was one of the only companies in the world that actually continued to grow. And I really see that as something that's really important, because, you know, good, like, you know, impacting world health and this financial wellness conversation, people wanting to find something where they can make an extra $200 or $300 a week to pay off a mortgage or a credit card by helping people they care about. This is kind of what it's all about, right? And this is only one of many great companies, but thank you so much for jumping on and sharing this opportunity, because I know for the right people, they'll be willing to check this out and explore it for themselves. So like we always say, just always have a chat with a person that, you know, invite you to check this out, even if it's on Facebook or Zoom or whatever. And if you want to give some love to Brendan and Dommy, fire away. We've got Benny saying thanks, Sandra as well. And do you guys have any parting words before we shoot off?
Oh, just one thing. Well, firstly, just thank you to everyone who jumped on the call tonight and gave up your evening. You know, that's a compliment to us, and we really appreciate it. And I really hope that you got something out of tonight's call, whether it be from myself or Dommy or both of us or yourself, Roars. But, you know, in parting, I just want to say thank you so much. Thank you for inviting us on, but thanks for the bigger picture as well, mate. You are one of the good guys. You really are. And this is important. And you're interviewing a broad range of people on here, man. And we love you to bits, and we just really love what you're doing, and it's really having an impact on a lot of people. And so people are going to take little bits and pieces from each one, but please continue this on, mate. There's so many people that could benefit from this, and you just create such a welcoming space for this sort of thing, and you're just perfect at this, mate. It's a calling for you.
Absolutely. And 5.5 years in, guys, we've never been so excited. So we're in for a good ride together.
We are, Dommy. Yeah, it's exciting. It's so great. Yeah.
Thanks, man. And obviously, if anyone wants to catch up with any of us in Bali, we're going to be attracting some pretty cool people. So reach out to us, and we'll be happy to sit down and work with anyone who's got the same vision as us. And like you said, Dommy, this is the second wave. And thanks, Brendan, for your kind words. The reason why I'm here, man, is because I wouldn't be able to self-fund all these startups and do the things that I do if I hadn't have stumbled across this as well. So all we're doing here is just we're giving this back to anyone else that's willing and open enough to listen and to spin and check it out for themselves. So big love, guys, and I'll see you back in Bali later this week.
Woo.
See you, Roz.
Awesome. Bye.
Thanks, mate. Bye.
See you guys.